When you make a suit for the movies, your lapel is 9 feet wide. You better make sure you get it right. My name is Leonard Logsdail. I am a bespoke tailor. I've been doing this for 50 years now. Along the way, I've made for some weird and wonderful people and movies. Some of the movies include The Wolf of Wall Street 2, Gucci. The first movie I worked on was The Good Shepherd with Robert De Niro, the Oscars, and a number of others. When I made suits for Little Women, I think that was in the 1800s, something like that. I just had to look at a lot of photographs and then work through with moving different seams at the back of the shoulders, in the waist, putting pleats in different places, just understanding what I'm supposed to create. It's been a lot of fun because it's not just making a blue striped suit for a business person. I have to get into the character of the person and the era of the person. It's out of the comfort zone. But for me, that's part of the fun of the job. I enjoy that. When a new client comes in, I often stand at the front of the store. Perhaps it's 30 paces from the elevator to where I am. When they're walking in to meet me, I make them come all the way to join me, because by that time, when they're in a relaxed mode, I've pretty much got their body figurations how I need to cut it. When they first come in, I always sit them down in one of these easy chairs across from them. These are new clients, and I just ask general questions about their families and what they do for a living. Do they travel a lot? Then I take them to the mirror at the front, and I stand them in front of the mirror. I take all the regular measurements, but the most important part of the measurements to me is checking their body. I hold the tape measure and I roll it down their back, the curvature of their spine. I hold it horizontal to the floor and take a look at the gap, the air gap between the shoulders from one and the other. It gives me an idea which shoulder is lower. I used to have to do this in London. I realized that some of these lords that would come in through the door that were kind of on the arrogant side, and I needed them to relax a little bit. I used to tell them to take their trousers off, and I'd be in with their trousers to put on. But I used to come in and I used to fold them over my shoulder, and I used to stand like this and just talk to them, and they're standing in their underwear. And after a little while, when they start hopping from leg to leg, I thought, okay, they've relaxed now. I give it to them. I was 21 when I first started my first business, and at 21 you think you know everything, and I was one of these people. There was an old gentleman I was making a suit for, and he had a terrible fit. He had a round back and one low shoulder. The other one was really high, and I couldn't fit this suit. And I said, the thing is, Mr. Rosenberg, you've got a very, very tough body. And he turned around and he looked me straight in the eye and he pointed a finger and he said, God's work is perfect, yours is not. And so when I'm struggling and I'm really thinking about a person's body, Mr. Rosenberg, after 50 years, still comes to mind because he taught me a lesson there. I've got to work with what you've got, not complain about what you've got. My job is to work with it. The first movie I made with Denzel Washington was American Gangster. And then I learned at that point about how to cut his trousers. His hips are a little bit different than other people. Everybody has what God gave them. So God gave him his hips, and my job is to work with them. It was to do with the pleats and no pleats. We had some with pleats. I didn't think they looked any good. And when it came round to changing the next movie, which was the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, we dispensed with those. And I worked with Al Pacino a few times. He looks a lot better with suspenders. I've worked with him for The Hunters. And when we did the Gucci movie, I said to the costume designer, we'll be much better off putting him suspenders. He will look much better with them. So that's what we did. I always go and watch the movies, pretty much always watch the movies when they come out. I'm looking to see how the suits look when the actor is working in them, as opposed to just standing still. When and should they come around the next time, I can alter their paper pattern accordingly. I believe that as soon as you become complacent with what you've done, you actually go backwards. So I'm always looking to see what I can do to improve what I create. I have an individual paper pattern for everybody that I've ever cut a suit for. One low shoulder, high hips, one arm in front of the other, longer than the other, all different things. I've had a client that was ordering perhaps 12, 14 suits a year. And every time I fitted a suit on, I'm thinking, I bet I could do this to make it better. There was one guy, and I can use his name because sadly he has passed away. He's Eric Brindell. He was editor of the editorial page of the New York Post. We'd had 4 yards woven just for him for a certain design, and I had it ready for a fitting. And I phoned up on the Friday, I think it was, and I said, I have a suit ready for Eric for a fitting, and his secretary said, I'm really sorry, but Eric passed away. They said he's passed away, his funeral today. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, another guy came in who used to meet Eric every time they had a fitting. They used to come in and they would go out for lunch together. This guy came in and he said, do you know why I've come here? And I said, probably you've come because you want a suit. He said, well, yeah, but he said, the reason behind it, he said, I saw Eric about 2 or 3 hours before he died, and he could barely talk, and he beckoned me to come down so he could whisper in my ear. And he said to me, made me promise that I would come and see you for suits. It brought tears to my eyes that he, on his deathbed, he was thinking about me. A number of people have asked me what my ultimate goal is in my business. I love what I do, and I love creating these suits and watching people go out with a smile on their face or seeing them in the movies. But I get so much more pleasure to think that I've managed to provide for my family, put them through college, and we live a good life out in Connecticut. That, to me, that's the success of my career.